Right, so we can get started for our session. Again, I'm Julie Rosinski Lewis. I am going to present some science each week, and we're going to be doing some longer exercises today with Laurel and Heidi. But I'm going to begin first with science. It also gives you guys a chance to eat your lunch. So let's get started. So takes a second. So first, I'm just going to talk about how I got into the field of mindfulness and historically how it became so popular. When I started doing research on meditation, it was the early 2000s, and I was told by my postdoc advisor, Richie Davidson, that I could ruin my career with this fringe topic because look at what happened. There was this little bubble of really shoddy studies that happened in the late 70s, early 80s that were so awful that they ruined the field for a while. It was basically if enough people in a city meditate, then the crime rates will go down. I mean, it was really garbage. And so there was a movement called the Mind and Life Organization that fosters these dialogues between the Dalai Lama, between Christian meditators and scientists to develop something that's secular, applicable to all, and is rigorously researched, having proper control groups, etc. So the first study that was being done in the laboratory that I worked in was they were looking at response to the flu shot. So you can't fake a flu shot, right? And they also had EEG brain waves. So what they did is they gave a 8-week meditation course, mindfulness-based stress reduction in that case, to these high-tech workers at one company. So a very uniform group of educated people who had a very highly stressed job. And some people started the meditation right away and others delayed. They didn't start until 8 weeks later so that they could compare the two groups. And they were equally motivated and interested in learning the mindfulness techniques. And they gave them the flu shot kind of partway into it and then after, and found that only the mindfulness group had this increase in antibody titer. So it was giving a more robust immune response. And that was coupled with an EEG signature of what I would say more of a happier disposition. So they look at the asymmetry between the right and the left. And if it's leaning right, then it tends to be a happier disposition. And so those that responded to mindfulness with a, happier EEG signature had a better immune response. So it gives this connection between brain and body. Then about 10 years ago, a study came out. These are some of the classic studies, and this was a meta-analysis of the existing studies. So at that point, there was 20,000 meditation studies, and they took the 50 best ones, big groups, randomized controlled studies, and found that for anxiety, depression, and pain, it had an effect size that was similar to other well-studied therapies like medications. Like for depression, for example, Prozac, the effect size is 0.32, and for mindfulness, it was 0.31. The caveat is for the mindfulness, it's only people who are interested in mindfulness. So you have to think about whether you find yourself drawn to these practices. And for stress and quality of life, it was also significant, just a little bit less. So that already gives us an idea of how this might work. There's an interaction between the brain and the body. We'll talk more about the brain next week, but first I want to talk about how our body responds to stress. So stress, our body's stress response is our friend. We would not have survived our caveman years or dangerous situations that could still happen if it weren't for, initially kind of the adrenaline and then giving rise to cortisol to allow us to run or fight or flee from a big danger like a tiger. But cortisol, if it is the stress hormone, we also need it. It's this part of our sleep-wake cycle. But when it's produced at in a large quantity, it is increasing our blood pressure. It's raising our blood sugar. It's getting blood to our muscles so we can run, so we can fight, we can survive. But the problem is we keep that sustained. We have all these stresses and we never really get a chance to relax and recover. And that means we get digestive ills, we have thyroid problems, fertility issues, and even immune problems. So when you look at the data that we had in the Madison lab, you can see that their antibody response goes up when they're less stressed, when they feel more relaxed and happy after doing the mindfulness practice. Stress is not entirely bad. We need a little bit of stress in our life. We want to kind of be in sort of a stretch zone or a growth zone, it'll sometimes be called. This is where we feel challenged, but not in a panic. And oftentimes we run our lives in kind of the panic zone. We're so overwhelmed. And sometimes that's, can't be avoided. External circumstances are overwhelming. But if we could just take it down a notch and get into that stretch zone, it would feel a lot better. And at times we do need to go in the comfort zone to really relax and give our cells a chance to heal, to give our brain a chance to heal. This stress residue builds up over time, so it's a cumulative effect. And, sometimes people can numb themselves, which is part of burnout, but then eventually, like, there's, one too many things that happens and you can kind of lose it a bit. And I think probably all of us have had that experience. Mindfulness, by the way, is not going to be a magic cure to stop that, but can help you recover and help reduce that likelihood over time. So now we'll talk about something called the relaxation response. I have kind of a funny story of how I learned about this. I was actually in an airplane and I had been encouraged by a speaker from the National Science Foundation to really talk about your research, to, really make connections with the general public about what you do science-wise, like you're getting money to do research. You are a public servant who should be sharing your stuff. And so I was talking to my seatmate who seemed interested in a paper that I had on left-handers. She was from the Philippines and she had been forced to write with her right hand. She was reading a book on relaxation response by Herbert Benson. And so we exchanged some wonderful information. And the relaxation response allows you to recover from stress. And it's not just mindfulness that can do it. Yoga, Tai Chi, muscle relaxation, prayer, all those things can bring our mind and body into a peaceful state where the cortisol goes down and our body starts to heal. And so there was a study done at Harvard by Herbert Benson's group on mindfulness and yoga, which is what we're going to be doing today. So they took a blood draw of the subjects, and then they did either 10 minutes of yoga. They did a combination of 10 minutes of yoga, 10 minutes of meditation, or they didn't do anything at all. They just sort of sat in a room. And then they took another blood draw and they looked at what is the DNA transcribing, what is being upregulated or downregulated in response to the mindfulness and yoga. They found that upregulated were, hormones that respond to sustained energy, anti-aging, decreased cortisol, that stress hormone, increased free radical absorbers, and an increase in insulin. Basically the opposite of fleeing from a tiger. You're allowing your body to heal and relax and, kind of repair itself from any damage responding to the environment or stressors. This is what the data actually look at, but just remember, this is just 20 minutes. And people who had never done the meditation before also were like the experienced meditators. They had this upregulation of the good genes and the downregulation of the bad genes. And I want to share one more study with you that shows that, okay, there's a lot of things that could reduce stress and get you into the relaxed state. But mindfulness gives you a little bit of extra, a little bit of frosting on that cake. So this is a study done in Pittsburgh. So they went to like unemployment offices in Pittsburgh. These people were stressed out, actively trying to find work and not being able to find work at this time. This was about 10 years ago. And they enrolled in either a 3-day mindfulness retreat. It was residential. They stayed overnight, or a 3-day relaxation retreat. And the relaxation retreat, the emphasis was on resting, relaxing, which is really, those are all good things. And they did have benefits. They were less stressed, but only the mindfulness retreat reduced in this brain reactivity reductions. So the amygdala is part of our brain that is fearful. You get mad and worked up about something. And that amygdala connectivity went down only in the mindful retreat. And it correlated with cortisone as measured in the hair. And this is from David Creswell's work up at in Pittsburgh. So if reduce the reactivity of your kind of wildly reactive brain and find a technique, then your cortisol is going to go down and you're going to feel the benefits to your body and your brain. So mindfulness, you have a reactive thought, have some sort of monster thought pop up in your brain, right? And then normally when that happens, we get, in a mood. We get reactive. We feel angry or we feel sad or worried or anxious. And with mindfulness, instead, we notice that thought arising and then we go back to the breath. We're like, yeah, peace. I'm just going to go back to my breath. And we train ourselves to be non-reactive, and that has the ability to control ourselves, to get back into that relaxed mode. So I'm going to ask now if you have either electronically or if you have a pen and paper to develop your own 20-minute relaxation plan. This does not have to be our techniques. In fact, we consider it a win if you all of a sudden got back into doing art or whatever it is that is your happy zone. Jotting down just a few things that you might do if you feel yourself becoming overwhelmed, as well as maybe some quick things you could do in the day as a mindful snack. And you can share right now if you did anything over the last week that you might add, or if something didn't work for you. Does anyone want to share what they might do or what might have worked for them last week? I know I have been listening to music more. So in addition to doing my own mindfulness practice, I just in the last year, I had some external stressors come up and was more stressed than normal. And I'm like, you know what? In college, I used to sometimes just listen to music. And so I've increased that. Laurel, have you done anything
Yeah,
lately?
yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm thinking as you're talking. I have a routine of making sure that I'm outside and take a walk like you did this morning, Julie, and just really being
Yeah.
tuned to nature. So through mindfulness, you all, I've learned how to just focus back in on my senses. What am I hearing? What am I smelling? What do I see? What do I feel? And then
Yeah.
coming back to your senses brings me back to the present moment. And
That's beautiful. Yeah. And there are some really cool studies on that if you are exposed to an intense stressor and the brain shows that you're going between senses and stressed out, those people are less likely to relapse into depression. So there's some really strong data in that regard. We've got some responses.
okay.
Oh, good. The homework helped me throughout the past week. That's great. That's what the homework isn't meant to be a burden to you, but more of a prompt and getting you to think about your exercises. Listening to meditation, watching comedies, and reading. Yeah, comedy is a big one for me too. Like if I can get myself to laugh, it really releases a lot of good hormones and chemicals as well. Getting rid, yeah, doom scrolling is unfortunately for me, I do have a little bit of that habit going way back. And yeah, if you could even put a little reminder on your phone, make it really easy if you pick up your phone to relax or to, by doom scrolling, maybe a reminder comes up to, oh, that's right. I could also listen to, a mindfulness technique or listen to a good music that someone mentioned, listening to music meditations on YouTube.
Or set a timer. Hi everyone. You could set a timer for yourself because I have a little funny saying with my three daughters that, okay, I need some real therapy, like reels, and just like going through and having like 5 minutes of finding the ones and just laughing. And it's like, okay, put it aside. But sometimes that 5 minutes gets a little longer, and then I'm thinking, whoa, lost track of time. So if that's helpful for you, go, okay, I do want to just check up on things, but I know time can slip away. I'm going to set a timer on my phone. And when that goes off, I'll respect that and go on to the next thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'll
then-
also share something I've been doing lately. I have a lot of background in the arts, and sometimes I get into things, and sometimes I have a little plateau of not doing as much. But lately I was clearing out a bunch of things in my house, some old magazines and lots of old yoga magazines. And I love making collages. So lately my meditation practice has been a little more on the creative meditation, where I'm using a magazine and I'm putting images and words together of, mindful words, mindful phrases. And I just use that as my almost creative mindfulness time in the mornings.
Beautiful, Heidi, beautiful. And some of our other comments are,
Yeah.
listening to meditations on YouTube, took a new yoga class last week. Music is huge for me. I really enjoy gardening too. Focus on breathing to calm and slow down thoughts. Yes. And then thanks for the tips. I started doing stretches before bed for about 15 minutes over the last week. And I do think that helps. Definitely. Definitely. I do that too sometimes. Yeah. And it definitely helps.
Or in the middle of the night. I often do the 6 movements of the spine in the middle of the night. If I, can't fall back asleep, like something about, like, it just gets me out of my head into my body.
Oh, I'm going to try that, Julie. Thanks.
It really works.
Oh,
Well, do we want to move forward and start
sure.
some
Okay.
practices
Yes,
today?
Julie. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to move on to a guided meditation that I'm going to lead on sounds, on hearing. So I kind of want you to imagine you're 5 years old or younger, and some of these sounds maybe you haven't heard for the first time, or you're hearing them in a new way. You're hearing them without a judgment about them, without trying to just listen, really hear the quality of tone, of sharpness, but I'll guide you through that. So we're on an adventure of get ready, listening, opening up the ears like you've never done before. So we're going to get our feet firmly planted on the ground, uncross the legs if they're crossed, and a comfortable upright position. And if your eyes are closed, great. If they're fuzzy gaze down, great. Trying one or the other. And then let's focus on our breath. So closing your eyes or fuzzy gaze down, notice your next inhalation through your nostrils. Is it cool or warm? And that next exhalation through your nostrils, is it cool or warm? Allowing that sense of temperature to bring you back into your body. Allowing your breath to anchor you into this precious present moment. Feeling your breath, riding the waves of the ocean. Easy in, easy out. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just being here now. On your next exhalation, maybe dropping your shoulders and jaw just a little bit more. Maybe feeling the temperature of your room against your skin. Maybe feeling your clothing against your skin. And noticing if you're holding or forcing your breath in any way. And just becoming aware without judgment. Allowing your breath to flow easily. And now bringing your awareness to your feet, wiggling your toes a bit, feeling your feet grounded to the earth, for strength, stability, groundedness. And now gently bringing your awareness to your sense of hearing. the sense of sound. Let's choose something far off in the distance. What's the furthest most sound that you can hear? And whatever that sound is, try to let in all the aspects of that sound. The tone of it, sharp or dull, soft or loud, light or heavy. Just observing it with the curiosity of a 5-year-old. Trying not to label it or judge it, just allowing it to be. Like, oh, look at that, listen to that. That's different. Just taking your time with that most distant sound. And if you find yourself drifting off in thought, just gently bring yourself back to that awareness of sound. And it's okay if you've got to bring yourself back from thought many, many times. It's okay. Letting go, breathing into, allowing, allowing it to just be. And noticing sounds that are closer to you in your office, in your home, even in your body. Maybe hearing yourself breathing. And stay with that and observe that for a while. Whichever sound is coming to you, just allow that to be with curiosity, awareness, observing. Thank you, sound. I can hear you. Allowing the wonderment of sound and hearing to come to you. The awe of the presence of sound. Letting go a little bit more into this precious present moment. It's okay to notice the tendency to maybe judge the sound in some way, either positive or negative. That's great. Just allowing that to pass. Coming back to the pure essence of the sound. Feeling that sound in your body, maybe reverberating. Maybe that sound is traveling through your body. Maybe feeling a sense of aliveness. Notice any feelings you're having about the sound if you are. And that's okay too. Just acknowledge that. And then just bring your awareness back to your breath and the sound. It's okay, whatever you're feeling. Now, gently bringing your awareness back to the sense of your room, the awareness of being in your room, and your feet gently grounded to the earth. And if your eyes are closed or fuzzy gaze downwards, slowly open them some more, checking in with yourself. How was this for me? How was this for me? And I'd like to ask you, how was that for you? So if you'd like to share, however it was, it's spot on. Um, yeah, it's very relaxing. Okay, awesome. Happy face. What else are you feeling?
I was going to say our building has actually been very noisy today, drilling and sort of distracting sounds. And maybe because it's a lunch hour, it was quieter. It was great. You told us to listen. I'm like, wait, there's not all those noises. And I actually had to try to hear the far off noises. So it was a tremendous pleasure.
Oh, Donna. What a relief for dear Donna. Oh, Donna. Thank you for sharing. Oh, can we hear someone else's lovely voice? Or chat?
Well, I'm gonna open the gates for a negative, but my back was hurting, and the I found myself kind of trying to fidget to get the right position, which you know it was. So sometimes you can have a challenge even if you have a lot of meditation experience. So if you struggled with it, you're not alone today.
Yeah, Julie, thanks for sharing that. And it's really not a negative. It is what it is.
Mhm.
And I also too, if you saw me kind of stretching during it, I also too had some back issues. So yeah, it's normal. It's okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Was that uncomfortable or comfortable, or did it bring up anything for you? Or was it like, oh my goodness, I haven't heard this way in a while and it was kind of new or different? Lots of times we're on automatic pilot. I mean, automatic pilot, like how did I drive and get there? And we do that with sound. We take things for granted, of course, to get through our day. We take, our senses for granted in a sense. So coming back to an awareness and kind of slowing down and going, what am I hearing? What am I smelling? It can really be helpful. And another chat. Let's see. It was new for me, but I enjoyed it very much. Relaxing. Thank you. Yep. After a stressful morning, it relaxed me, so I'm now ready for the afternoon. Beautiful. And again, however you felt is okay. If it was annoying, like, I really don't want to be listening to sounds today. That's not my bag today. It's okay. Try it another day. Oh, okay. Well, if you have any questions later, you can also do a chat at the end. We'll leave time. Another chat from Felix
One more.
helps me to be reminded to be brought back as one quickly forgets that one was listening to something. Yes, thank you, Felix.
Mhm.
Thank you. Reminding you to be brought back. Yep. Let's move on then to our bodies and breath with Heidi.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Laurel, for that. And everyone for sharing from your experience, because we learn from each other. And how Laurel is always validating that your experience matters. But it's nice to hear what other people are experiencing, so we know we're not alone. Yeah, so we are going to bridge that meditation on sounds into a gentle movement practice that will incorporate standing and balancing. You're like, well, gentle standing and balancing, but how do we approach our stance, our poise, and play in a sense of balance and bring mindfulness into that play? And we'll be exploring this quality of interoception as we explore standing and balancing poses. And I like to say that interoception is like the more subtle sibling of proprioception, where proprioception is our like sense of body coordination and this grander sense of balance and what are my legs and limbs and trunk doing in the world. And then interoception, what does all that feel like? What am I sensing through that physical embodiment and physical play of shapes and activity? And with interoception, we think about, we think of like the butterflies in our tummy, right? The gut instinct. We think about when we're hungry, but the sensation that comes along, oh, I know that cue. I know that inner cue. And sometimes it's more subtle, right? And we can become more mindful of that listening. And when we listen to those inner needs, we really take in those qualities of self-care, right? Self-care and nourishing you and being able to navigate throughout your day with that mindful compass. All right, so as we move today, we will be doing standing postures and balancing. If you would prefer to sit, please feel free to sit and maybe play and get curious in how you want to create the shape seated. Or if you just want to sit and observe and listen and perhaps play later and practice, please feel free to do so. Make this time your practice your own. I'm going to start in mountain. So if you are ready, find a standing position for yourself. Move my things out of the way. And we'll start in mountain pose. So our basic standing posture. And let me make sure I'm spotlighted here. There we go, friends. All right. So as you start in your mountain pose, gathering a sense of rooting down. And in our first class, it was about this like tone, right? So what kind of information is coming through the tone of your feet to the floor, the tone of the muscles as you find a little more stability. And now the tone up through the trunk of your body as you gather a sense of poise. And can you also, within that structure, find some ease, a little softness to the face, the jaw, shoulders, perhaps some ease down the back, even though you're holding yourself up. Can you access softness within the stability? And as you greet your mountain, to bring in that mindful awareness of the breathing body. As Laurel beautifully guided us into observing sounds, noticing breath. And we'll start here with a quicker version of our 6 movements of the spine. We introduced that last week. So in your mountain pose, interlace your hands in front. We'll start with that flowing cat-cow spinal flexion. Reach your arms out, soften your knees, round your back, breathe out. As you inhale, stand tall, lift and zip up through the spine, open, broad across the chest. And exhale, reach back out, round through your spine, standing cat. Inhale, stand tall, tone your legs as you allow the shoulders to roll open. Exhale, back to your cat. Inhale, lift tall, standing cow pose. We'll go one more time. Exhale, standing cat. Inhale, standing cow. Exhale, release, reset neutral. Invite your right hand to rest at your belly, side bend. Left arm's going to sweep up. Lean over to your right, a little or a lot. Say hello to some wake up to the left side of the body. Press through your feet, come on up. Left hand will take the place of your right hand. Right arm, sweep it up tall. Side bend over to your left. Notice any sensation. Listen to that sensation, not with the ears, but with the inner ears through every cell. Press through your feet, come back up. Release both hands. From here, step your left foot just a little bit forward, right foot a little bit back. Right hand will rest to your belly again. Left arm, bring it to rest into your lower back. As you press through your feet, gently turn to your left. And take it easy, go on this gentle ride, wake up the quality of rotation. And now start to release, unwind your twist, arms by your side as you shake out your legs, reset, right foot in front, left foot in back. Left hand's gonna rest to your belly, right arm around your lower back. Start to turn and rotate a little or a lot. See how that feels today. How are the muscles responding? What sensation is rotating and exploring up through this twist? And now exhale, come around, re-greet your mountain. Settle into mountain pose. Notice how you feel in neutral. And now let's take the feet a little bit wider. So widen your mountain base. Now I'm going to be taking my feet just a little wide and turning my toes out a little bit. You might like that as well. We're going to move a little more into the legs and the knees. Now start to bend into your knees. And you can get a sense here, if you want to take your feet closer together or wider apart, you can sink the hips any amount. Spine tall, bring your hands together in front of your chest. From here, on an inhale, reach your arms out wide. And as you exhale, breathe out your mouth and say AH, like a sigh. Inhale, breathe open, wide out through arms and hands. Feel the stretch out through your palms. Exhale, hands back to heart center. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, sigh. I know my legs are getting warm. We only have 1 more. Are you with me? Inhale, reach it out wide. Fuel yourself up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Release. Stand long into your legs. For a moment, be present. Thank you, legs. Building a little more strength and tone, a little more circulation. All right, let's move the feet back into neutral. From that horse stance, let's create some trees. For tree pose, a balancing pose, start to send your attention into that. So this is our proprioception coming into play. What is your left leg doing? Left foot doing? Left foot to the floor. Tone your left leg. Now with your right leg, turn your knee out any amount. You can keep your right foot low, or the sole of your right foot could play along the height of your left leg. Okay. I'm going to keep my little root low today. Now into the upper body, gather a sense of spine tall. And with your arms, get curious. What type of tree do you want to be today? You could keep things quite close, a little cone shrub, bring things out wide, be a little saguaro. It's okay if there's a little wobble, a moving out, a falling out, bring it back in. Steady your gaze, notice your breath. And now let that be. Right foot will release to the ground. It might feel really great with sensation in your left leg to wiggle it out, let that be. And we'll go to the other side. So gather a sense of awareness, attention into your right leg, right foot pressing down. As you press down, muscles start to tone, steady into your center. Maybe shift your gaze at something non-moving. And now start to shift your left foot. Broadening the knee out to the side, choosing a height for your leg. Decide to be a little cone shrub. Arms could stay by your side. Or adapt your branches. Sometimes this quality of interoception, what am I sensing, comes up of like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to fall out. There's like fear, right? Or sometimes it's a little more playful. Oh, this is fun. I haven't done this for a while. Just notice what you notice. Gather your presence. One more breath. And now release, let it be, let it go. As you release your left leg, once again, give yourself a little shake out so right leg can release and reset into your mountain pose. Okay. One more balancing posture. I'm going to turn just slightly sideways. We'll go back to the left foot as your anchoring leg. So again, get a sense of left foot grounding down, left leg toning. Pick up your right foot just a little bit, getting ready for warrior 3 or airplane posture. As you start to settle into your left foot, lean your chest and gaze forward, reach your arms out like an airplane, and any amount, float your right leg up. Could be a couple inches, could be a couple feet. You might soar and wobble, maybe there's some turbulence. Steady your gaze. Connect to the sense of muscles supporting you. And then let that be, let it go. Right foot will lower and we'll get ready for the other side. Now settle back into your right foot, right leg. Lift your left leg any amount. We use our drishti, and that's called our focal point, to help steady our mind, and that inner sense of stability starts to wake up. Now lean forward any amount. Shift your gaze out in front of you. Sweep your wings out with your arms. Float the left leg up any amount. Maybe it's smooth flying, or there could be some turbulence. You could come in and out. Explore for you. Maybe there's a little warming and shakiness. You got this. One more breath. Begin to release. Let it be. Back to your mountain. Settle back in. Land into mountain pose. Tone down into your feet. Tone the muscles of your legs. Long, tall up through your spine. And now any amount, reach your arms high. High could be just out to the side. High could be straight up. High could be hands come together. Explore that for you. Tall mountain pose. Rooted to the earth, but gathering some courage to stand tall in your presence. Mindful awareness on your breath. 2 more breaths. Begin to release your arms by your side. Pause in your mountain. Sensing here your shoulders and down your back a little softer. Gather some attention at your feet and sense the rhythm of your body breathing. It might be a little different than the sound meditation we just did. I know mine is. Yeah, mine kicked up a little bit, but notice what you notice. From here in your mountain pose, I invite you, if you want to stay standing, if that's feeling great, if you've been seated for a while, please stay in mountain. But I'm also going to invite you to take a comfortable seat, and I'll be guiding you through a breathing practice. So if you want to take a seat, if you have something to sit on that's a little softer, or you want a pillow behind your back, please feel free to do so. And for this meditation on the breath, I'm going to share my screen here so that you can have about one drishti. Instead of staring at me talking, a little more inspiration from nature. Here we go. All right, friends. Can everybody see that okay? Thumbs up, Laurel or Julie? That good? Great. This breathing practice is called Ujjayi in our language of yoga. That translates as breath of courage. And breath of courage is, yes, we can think of like lion and courage and kind of gathering this sense of energy, and also this courage of passion for self-care, passion for ourselves to be more mindful and present, and gathering the qualities of breath of courage to support us. So what are these qualities? Breath of courage offers a little bit of sound. It also will invite a little texture to your vocal cords. Together with the texture of the vocal cords, the sound, you'll hear a soft whispering quality to your breath. It can be very subtle, doesn't have to be loud like a snore. You'll have a little control over the depth, the pace, and the feeling tone of this breathing practice. So see what arises for you as you settle in, finding your comfortable position. I'm going to invite you to take one hand and just place it just a little bit in front of your face. Now, we did an active ujjayi earlier in our horse stance with the sighing exhale. So let's revisit that. And when you sigh, imagine your hand is like a mirror and you just want to lightly fog the mirror. So you'll take a comfortable inhale through the nose. Exhale, fog the mirror. The body will know it's time to inhale. Easy does it. Exhale, fog the mirror. Start to notice in your throat this little constriction, not too tight. Inhale again. Exhale, fog the mirror. You can place your hand down, release the mirror. You'll inhale through the nose. Exhale, sigh out the mouth. And now try this in and out through your nose. Inhale through your nose, almost like a soft snore. Exhale out your nose. Again, like a little soft snore. Try it again. Inhale through your nose, a little constriction, back of the nose and throat. Relax jaw, exhale. I'm going to go silent as you continue to breathe. We'll go 4 more rounds. Gentle ujjayi, breath of courage. Explore one more here. Now, as your next inhale comes in and builds, allow that breath to build. Exhale out your mouth again. And now, kind of let your breath go on a stroll, body regulating back into a baseline breath. It might feel nice to maybe stretch the face and jaw. I like to use ujjayi breath in my meditation, to create that local sound very close to me, sensing my breath, hearing my breath. It invites a calming, soothing quality. You might have noticed that too, or maybe something totally different. If anybody would like to share in the chat or share out loud, please feel free. Thank you for joining me on that movement and breath journey. Any comments or thoughts on maybe balancing or breath practice? One said that the rhythm of breathing reminds me of the calming ocean waves. Yes, yes. It sometimes is called ocean breathing because, yes, you're right. It sounds like ocean waves. Yeah. It's great inward focus. Definitely, definitely. This breathing practice does help you tune right in, inward focus. It is great to use for meditation. It's also an excellent practice to do when your task at hand needs a little more focus and concentration, right? Do about 5 ujjayi breaths before a meeting, before being with a patient, or working with others in a group. Great tool. Thank you for that comment. All right. All right, friends, watching our time. I believe that, yes, calming mechanism. Thank you, Blaine. And on that calming aspect, let's switch to Julie now, who's going to guide us through a compassion meditation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heidi. I actually, right. I find that something like the Ujjayi breath could be added as sort of one of the mindful snacks. And so if you're creating your plan, your longer and shorter mindful snack plan, maybe Ujjayi is something you can add to it. If so, try to write it down so that you're more likely to incorporate that habit. I'm really grateful to those who have signed up for the Qualtrics surveys, because I saw, starting that habit, it's going to take multiple class sessions to really, and maybe taking mindful steps more than once and coming to some of the programming to really get those habits down. So, sometimes we want to just get out of the panic zone and into the stretch zone, and other times we want to take a 20-minute practice to get into that relaxation response zone where we're learning to accommodate anything that we. So the compassion practice we're going to do is also a mindful snack. It's a gratitude practice, and some of you may already do a prayer of thankfulness before a meal. That is, if you've done that in the past, you might want to think about doing that again, or just taking an opportunity here and there to be grateful, to think about all that went into your meal, or all that went into your being able to learn something new today or interact with a special person. And if our brains are kind of negatively oriented, and if we switch to looking for the good, looking for the helpers, as Mr. Rogers says, or looking for the positive, that has an effect on our health. And the study showed that it had an effect of lowering blood pressure. So when we do a gratitude practice, we can just take a moment right now. Feel grounded with our feet on the ground. Maybe even take an Ujjayi breath or two. And think of something that we're grateful for today. Something that enriched our lives. And think about the whole web of connectedness that brought that into being. Feeling grateful gets our mind off of our own tendency to think negatively or to ruminate about our woes, and into feeling a connection with the good, feeling that movement towards connection rather than woe. And then coming back to the room, to ourselves, you can see that that can be a very short mindful snack that could get us out. Oh, this happened to me, that happened to me. Wait, I'm also grateful for this other thing. Let me just think about that for a while, not to minimize your problems, but to encourage you to balance it out with the things you're grateful for. And so for our home practice this week, trying out the standing yoga sequence that Heidi has shared with us. I know for me today, I experimented with the fact that if I'm setting up my plan for the week, I had a vertebral injury earlier this year. And because of that, I used to really be able to just sit down and meditate. And now it can be quite sore if I don't do yoga first. So I know, oh, for me, I've got to switch to doing at least a little bit of yoga before doing the mindfulness. So I'm going to try some of those practices. So trying to develop a plan that might incorporate our practices or something that gets you to your happy place. Trying out the meditation on sounds. This can be great in a quiet environment, like Donna was saying, or, try it again when it gets noisy, even if it's just for a while, play with it. This is about a little bit of playfulness, sit outside and see how that feels. Notice how it feels when it's kind of not a pleasant sound. Like I'm not in my office today because the HVAC is super loud lately. And so it was because of sounds that I'm at home. And then maybe trying to do a little bit of mindfulness each day. One of the subjects in our brain imaging studies, which I'm going to talk about next week, was a very experienced meditator. He had done something like, 20,000 hours of practice or something. And he said, if you want to start meditation, start shorter than you think you can do. So if you think you can do 10 minutes, do 5. If you think you can do 20 minutes, start with 10. If you think you can do 1 minute, 30 seconds. We're stepping from where we are on every given day. So, take a moment to think, what can I do today? And go a little shy of it so that you leave with a positive experience of wanting more. And that'll help develop that habit. And of course, if you're feeling very stressed, maybe see if you could apply that 20-minute plan. We went to Peru this summer and we found these agricultural laboratories that were created by the Inca, and they were in different climates. There's 3 of them at this location, and some had a lot of wind exposure, some were higher in elevation. I think you can kind of see this, mountain Andes peak in the distance. We are all in different circumstances every day, and some of our techniques or some of your other techniques may work better under different conditions. So, once I got injured on a trail and I was actually holding Ren and I got very scared. I got bumped and banged up, but, she didn't get hurt. But I was so worked up, I tried to sit and meditate and couldn't, but I could do breath work. I could do the Ujjayi breath. So you might play around with trying these exercises in different. So take your paper and pencil out again and see if you can write. Maybe you want to update it. Maybe you want to add Ujjayi. Maybe you want to add the meditation on sounds. You're in a noisy environment. Instead of, if you can't get rid of the sounds, incorporate it. So you might want to try to be creative this week. So. And there's some NIH resources on meditation and yoga if you want to go further into the science as well. But remembering that, here's Ren when she was a little younger, we are all, making little baby steps. We're going to kind of have little stumbles at times. And on different days, like I said, I really was quite comfortable with doing, I could have done the meditation on sounds easily last year. And then this year I was struggling because I had so much back pain. And then oh, well, there's a way I can address that. Instead of hating on myself or like, gosh, what's wrong with me? I can be like, you know what, there's something I can do. Yoga first. So think about very specifically, if you want this to be a habit that might enrich your life, you have to kind of think about it. Our brain needs to be able to say, oh, well, instead of doom scrolling, I'm going to set a time limit, like Heidi said. So does anyone else have any comments or thoughts? It took us right up to the hour mark. Here's that after poll. If you have, a minute to give us a little feedback, and we really appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you for your comments of appreciation. Yeah. Yeah. It's so wonderful how we can validate through science the goodness of what we're sharing, the toolbox that we're sharing with you. Yeah. Okay, well, we want to honor your time. So you can contact us through email if you have any questions also.
Maybe we'll end our recording, and if anyone wants to ask us a question kind of off the record, we're here.
Someone just said something, Julie.